Welcome to Big Questions. I am your host, Pat Werhane. There are still approximately 36 million people living with HIV today. The Global Alliance for Africa and the Female Health Company are two organizations that use novel approaches to address the HIV pandemic. We sent documentary film producer Timothy Wolfer to Kenya to learn more.
I'm Kim Clark.
And I'm Pat Werhane.
We go out into the world to look at everything.
Topics such as food deserts, wage theft, and recidivism in jails.
Access to healthcare, education, welfare, major issues we face at home and around the world today.
Come search with us for answers to these issues and more
as we discovered new answers to today's big questions.
Our story today begins with a Chicago organization called the Global Alliance for Africa. They are providing some holistic and financial solutions to entrepreneurs.
Over here in sub-Saharan Africa, the economy is quite different than it is in the United States or Western Europe. And a lot of people benefit by having small amounts of capital to build businesses.
Rather than giving out money or goods like a traditional nonprofit, they're giving out something called a microloan.
A microloan is a small amount of capital provided to a client that enables him or her to build a business. It's usually a small amount of money and a small amount of interest so that the person who receives the loan is enabled to repay it on a monthly basis.
You know, I'm not a big supporter of aid because it doesn't encourage people to work, you know, and you end up relying on the person who has given you this aid. And also when people give aid, they generally choose who they give aid to and the person who follows their ideals. Yeah, so I believe in business. Yeah, I believe in job creation.
To understand how a microloan works, you should start with a practical example. This is Samuel. He is a family man.
I have two children. One is 7 years. The other one is 4 years, a boy and a girl. And other than that, there are some children that I cater. The orphan children belong to my sister who passed away.
With such a large family, Samuel was working as a boda driver or motorcycle taxi. However, his bike was old and in desperate need of a new one.
But with the motorbike, it's the one that funds everything. School fees, domestic, everything. Same old motorbike.
He received 50,000 shillings from the government after the passing of his mother, but needed an additional 20,000 shillings for a new bike plus a few expenses. So he got a microloan.
This is my bike. It's the one that I had 50,000. Then I got 20,000 from Miswadu. That's when I bought this bike. You know, having a motorbike, you must have 2 helmets, and you must have 2 reflective jackets, so that you can be spotted from far.
Cost of running any business adds up. Watch as he breaks down a 50 shillings ride.
Okay, roughly, with that you can take 10 shillings with the 50 shillings. If you divide, okay, 10 will go to the fuel, then 15 to the maintenance of the bike, then family goes to 10, you know, you deduct those and you get roughly 10 shillings. Okay, at long last, at the evening, you'll go with maybe 500 shillings when you have deducted everything. That's profit. That's profit.
500 shillings is about $5.50, about $1 more than the average Kenyan makes. Now let's say Samuel had risked not renewing his license due to lack of capital.
Now when you don't have this, and sometimes it's a month where there are many expenses, you are not able to renew maybe the driving license or the insurance. They come and take the bike. And when you go to the police station, they'll charge you the towing motorbike plus the penalty of having insured uninsured motorbike. That raises to 6,000. And you see, with 6,000, you cannot raise in 2 days. Considering the amount that I take at home, you see, now you have to struggle for 1 week, get another bike, then get the 6,000, then go and get your motorbike from the police station.
So I'd say we are seeking out people who are taking care of orphans also, because that's one of the things we want to do as Global Alliance, is to assist orphans.
80% of the loan fund is designated for those people who take care of orphans and vulnerable children affected by HIV and AIDS. 20% of the loan fund is designated for loan clients who do some type of community development work or are involved in businesses that help develop the community. So we feel as though that we have a good mix of where our capital goes to.
These loans can work for everything from a restaurant to a corner store to even a community that wants to pitch in for clean water. Rather than Global Alliance deciding who will receive loans, local communities organize themselves into groups, and then the group decides who will receive the loans.
Well, we have our staff on the ground, lending officers. We have embedded people in the field. These are people who know the people that are being lent to. They are from the same ethnic background. They work with cooperatives. So cooperatives are formed. The money is lent to the cooperative and not the individual. That's the focus of our work. And then that cooperative actually works with the people the members of the cooperative, decide whether the business opportunity or the purpose of the loan given to the individual in the cooperative is a viable business.
The cooperative provides an organizational structure that enables us or enables them to repay their loans on a regular basis. And so we're assured of those loan repayments. Plus, we're also assured that if someone is not repaying their loan, that the cooperative members will step up and repay that loan for that person who has missed their payment that month or who has potentially run away.
A few years back, this Maasai community received a microloan to buy some cattle.
This is the Maasai community. There's a cooperative here called Nalepo Self-Help Group that we have worked with. We gave them a loan of 300,000 Kenya shillings. That was for them to purchase livestock and then keep them for maybe 6 months, fatten them, and then sell them.
They then took the profits and put them into a pool in case somebody got sick or needed money because of losing a job, almost like insurance.
Like a merry-go-round. Every Wednesday, we contribute 400 shillings for the welfare of ourselves. If I get somebody sick and admitted in the hospital, we go to the bank, we say we take such a little money, we take to our member. He feels that we are together and we are sharing the same problem.
What happens if somebody can't pay is that the members of the cooperative agree to pay that person's loan. And so there is intense pressure within the cooperative itself from a group of members on another member to repay that loan.
We eventually, like any organization, if it's really thinking through its sustainability, we would want to work ourselves out of a job. We collect interest on the loans. We lend at a lower rate than most lending institutions in Kenya. Some microfinance organizations actually charge maybe 1 or 1.5% per month So we charge anywhere from between 6 and 12% interest. The loans are repaid on an annualized basis at that interest rate. We're working on growing the loan to be large enough so that we can use that extra interest to help us pay for our staff and our offices and so forth. Again, our program, though, is not just lending, it's also psychosocial and other kinds of social services around the loan and in those communities.
There are 2 psychosocial services they are offering. The first is community libraries, and the second is art therapy.
This is the slum with the biggest slums that we have in Kenya. It has a population of around 2 million people living in Kibera. And these are our households where people live in, as we have the community library also inside here.
Global Alliance built the first community library in all of the slum of Kibera in Nairobi, Kenya. A place that inhabits anywhere from 800,000 to 1.5 million people. And so we built the first community library there. And now, in fact, there is a Kenya National Library Service library in the slum that was built after we built our community library.
As you can see, we have a librarian, Erica, and some students who are doing their studies. So he's doing studies after he was sent home from school to go and bring the fee balance. So instead of idling outside or going for a walk, he decided to come in the library and do his studies because the exam is very much near. So he's doing some assignments that were given in school.
Another aspect to working with people who have lost loved ones because of HIV is mental health. While a lot of development in Africa is dealing with health and livelihood, the Global Alliance is diving into the arts.
Yeah. This is orphan. She has no parent. That is the O means. And this is her name, and this is 10 years.
It can be anything from giving somebody crayons and paper, drawing, and then talk about what's there. So it's sort of like, well, what's there and how do you talk about it? And do you see something more that needs to be discussed, or is there something bothering you? Or you can say, write about this thing that's bothering you. So it's really a spectrum of what that term means.
Art is a fast, it's a fast weapon or a tool of communication, very easily. It can reach to the child, it can reach to the old, even those who cannot hear will see, because we do it and your eyes will see and change. It's a way of communicating, and that's why we opt to use art as a media of communicating.
In conclusion, you have microloans for economics, community libraries for education, and art for the spirit.
This is also an orphan.
Today's second story is also set in Kenya. 20 years ago, you would have never seen a sight like this.
So you are there, you are like this. No, ukimaliza ufanye nini? Ufunike. And by the way,
This group has assembled just outside Nairobi, Kenya to learn how to use a female condom.
Well, the female condom is the only dual protection system out there, completely controlled by women. So it is a condom designed for female use that protects both against STIs, such as HIV/AIDS, but also unwanted pregnancy. And it looks different from the male condom in the sense that it is a large sheath with 2 rings, so an inner ring and an outer ring. And the inner ring is inserted and the outer ring stays outside of the body of the woman.
The female condom is being used by the National AIDS and STI Control Program as a way to bring down HIV infection rates in key populations.
Well, this country uses a lot of condoms, for your information. We have a consumption of between 150 to 180 million condoms per year. And the female condom contributes about 2% of the total need.
The need for the female condom worldwide is huge. There are 250 million women worldwide who don't have access to contraception. And that, for one thing, results in 21 million unsafe abortions every year. And that actually accounts for 13% of maternal deaths. So the need for contraception is very high. Then I'm not even talking about the HIV prevalence rate. For instance, in the continent of Africa alone, 23 million people are infected with HIV. And in Kenya, 6% of the population is infected with HIV. So those numbers are huge.
Ministries of health, UN agencies, and NGOs are finding that the female condom is a powerful tool in bringing those statistics down.
For a woman, it's more empowering to have your condom. And especially these are stories you're getting from the sex workers. When you're not able to negotiate for condom use and you have a female condom, you're better positioned to use a condom for that sex act. So your sex act would actually be covered and it will be protected.
The sex workers, for example, they actually like the female condom because it puts them in a position to negotiate for safer sex than before. So we've seen an improvement.
Many other times is when a man, and we all expect in the African setting, we expect the man to be carrying the condom. Now we are changing that language to make sure that the woman is actually in charge of their sexual health.
While there's a number of companies manufacturing female condoms, the original was created by the Female Health Company based out of Chicago.
And we decided at that time it would be fun to go out and do some entrepreneurial things in the area of healthcare where our backgrounds could make a difference. And we also wanted to do things that had some kind of societal benefit as well as a benefit for investors. And we were kind of looking for different opportunities. And we came across, one of those was a female condom. And it was sort of a serendipitous discovery, and that we identified this through a small Wisconsin company that had recreational products, like for camping and so forth.
That's right, the female condom had been designed by a Danish doctor who licensed it to a friend that owned a Wisconsin-based camping store. So these three friends bought the company and began to move forward on FDA approval.
From the very beginning, there were all sorts of barriers on this. FDA had never heard of a female condom, so they didn't know exactly what they wanted for approval. At first they thought it would be like a male condom, a 510K, a Class 2 device. And then they decided later that it would be a Class 3 device. A Class 2 device would have taken us about maybe 2 years and $1 million or $2. The Class 3 device meant 6 years and $12 million. And when we finally got the approvals and bought the worldwide rights, we realized it would be a long road ahead in terms of developing a market.
The female condom was a new product. No one knew what it was or why they even needed it when they could just use a traditional male condom.
And we got this little, we were at the Continental Hotel and got a room at the Continental Hotel. And I said, who do you think is going to come to this? They said it didn't matter. They sent out, the announcements. It didn't matter. The idea was just to get it out that this was being developed for the United States. So I go over there to do the talk, right? And I walk into the room, and you might have thought that the President of the United States was coming. The room was full of people. There was a podium with every TV lineup and cameras all over. Oh my goodness. I had not talked about publicly about, at this point I was just developing it. I didn't know what to do. And I'm standing in the back of the room, and there's a journalist standing next to me, and she said, how are you going to do this? She said, you can't say condom out loud. And because at that point,
Oh, yes.
1988, it was a whisper, right? A whisper. And male condoms were behind the counter.
Yes.
You had to go to the pharmacist to get a male condom.
Mm-hmm.
And she's saying to me, how are you going to talk about this? And I said, I don't know. And I went in and I thought, well, I can't worry about that. I just have to get the message out. Well, I got the message out.
Because of the stigma around condoms in the 1980s and 90s, they had little success getting the product launched in US markets. So to the rescue, the women of Zimbabwe.
Women in Zimbabwe had heard about this, and they circulated a petition asking for the product to be distributed in their country. But I believe something like 28,000 women signed that petition, which was kind of attracted you to go to Zimbabwe because you had people who would be ready and interested in trying it.
We looked at the retail sector and people were still quite scared to use the female condom, but the public sector picked it up immediately. They saw the worth it had, especially with the AIDS epidemic going on in the 80s. And a lot of people were affected by AIDS and entire families were eradicated by the disease. And so the public sector recognized directly that this could be something that could curdle the effects of the HIV spread and the AIDS spread. As HIV affects women more than men worldwide, it seemed only plausible and logical that you would have a woman-controlled device that would actually curdle this spread of HIV/AIDS.
They are the first company that brought a female condom product to market in the United States and in over 100 countries around the world. And I think that they really, broke the ice, right? For this product category.
The Female Health Company is a great example of a for-profit company working in developing countries with a social mission. They give away grants every year to local NGOs to help educate people on the use of female condoms.
Our organization is called Mutha Community Development Foundation. We have 3 pillars. We do have health pillar, education pillar, and also socioeconomic pillar. We focus on the woman, and on the health, we do female condom promotion, training, and advocacy.
Interesting question I always ask. Who among us have used a female condom? Female condom? Hey, we are doing good.
And then they've identified some proactive members of those populations, and they've trained them on HIV prevention, family planning, and issues of reproductive health. So then they are able to reach their peers, because as you might be aware, these are hidden populations. They don't come out that easily.
That some women fear to use the female condom because of the inner ring and the outer ring. They feel that it's going to hurt them. Actually, the word he said is they think it's going to hurt them. The inner ring is used for insertion, while the outer ring is used for holding at the outside of the vagina.
Female condom actually meets 3 out of 8 Millennium Development Goals. So decreasing the HIV spread worldwide, as well as decreasing maternal health, and also increasing gender equality.
You could squat down like this and insert the female condom. And it's very good. You could also step on the seat, and insert the female condom like that. It's very, very easy. You could also sit at the edge of the seat like this and insert the female condom, right? And then the other one we said is do what? You lie down and place your legs up. It cannot go like that. Let's enjoy sex. Let's enjoy it, what? Safely. Are we together? And if you have a commodity that can add pleasure to your sex, use the female condom.
The importance for women to have access to the female condom has spread into a movement, with global flash mobs, fashion shows, and even a female condom day every year.
I I'd say what we're seeing in the last 5 years is an increasing global movement that has a lot of creativity around it, that's designed to bring more people, more young people, both men and women, into it with an awareness of the need for protection, women standing up for themselves, men standing up for their partners, and engaging them through creative means like, as you mentioned, the flash mob, the dance contest, an international film contest, trying to bring new people into the conversation around protection options for women and men.
10 years from now, I see the female condom as a commodity that doesn't leave the woman's handbag. And a woman is able to access it both for commercial, at a commercial level, and also for government procurement. I see it as a commodity that will be readily available for anyone who wants to protect themselves from HIV, STIs, and intended pregnancies.
There are many approaches to the tragedy of the HIV pandemic. The Global Alliance for Africa and the Female Health Company illustrate two worthwhile initiatives. Their commitment to tackle this difficult disease are an example of what a small group of people can do.